Now I will preach the noble teaching of the Buddha. Silang Samadhi Banyacha Vimodija Anodara Anu Buddha Ime Dhamma Gautame Nayasasinam. Gautama Buddha, who is a true refuge for all Buddhists, fully practiced and personally experienced, the noblest, the loftiest, and the most dependable dhammas, comprising sila, morality, samadhi, concentration, panya, wisdom, and vimukti, deliverance. When he had thus practiced and discerned all that should be known, he preached the same for 45 years to Vinaya persons, those who can be instructed, so that they may, like himself, be delivered from all sufferings through practice of these dependable dhammas. The Bodhisattva had 4 asankhya aeons and 100,000 world cycles ago, bowed at the feet of Divyangara Buddha to become a Sammasambuddha, Supreme Buddha. From that time onwards, the Bodhisattva had fulfilled the paramis, perfections of virtue, needed for Buddhahood, like dana, charity, sila, morality, and so on. 2,562 years ago, according to Western reckoning, in this world cycle, he became the son of King Sobhana and Queen Maya. The king father gave the name of Sayadaw to his child, the Bodhisattva, at the age of 16. He was married to Yashoda Devi, daughter of King Sobhana, and went on enjoying the delights of royalty. When he was 29 years of age, he came to realize the ills of old age, sickness, and death, and renounced the world in order to find out for himself and others the Dhamma that can liberate one from old age, sickness, and death. In his search for the Dhamma that frees one from old age, sickness, and death, the Bodhisattva practiced under the sage Alara, who had attained the 7 mundane jhana states, trances, or states of mental absorption, and another sage Udaka, who had attained all the 8 mundane jhanic states, and himself attained soon the same 7 and 8 jhanic states respectively. But these jhanic states are incapable of freeing one from old age, disease, and death. They can only take one to the arupa, formless realms of existence and enable one to live for a long time. When the lifespan of 60,000 or 84,000 world cycles is ended, death ensues and takes one back to the human realm, where one is subject to old age, disease, and death, like others. It can also send one to the 4 apaya nether worlds, They are not a noble Dhamma that can release one from old age, disease, and death. Thus, reflecting, the Bodhisattva gave up these mundane journey states and continued the search on his own for the noble Dhamma that would free one from old age, disease, and death. Giving up solid food and living on a handful of boiled bean soup, he continued his search for the noble Dhamma through modification of the body for 6 years. But he did not find it. Then he gave up this ascetic practice and resumed taking all such food as he should, and thus regained his strength, practicing anapana meditation, observing the in-breath and the out-breath. He attained the 4 Rupa jhana states. On the basis of these jhana states, he further attained other jhana states and the higher spiritual powers. Later on, he came to realize that old age and death are due to rebirth, which in turn is due to desire, clinging, and karma. Desire is caused by Vedana feeling, which is looked upon as pleasurable. If this Vedana is rightly seen as constantly rising and passing away, desire will no longer arise and will come to an end. If desire ends, clinging and pleasure-seeking karma will also come to an end. With the ending of karma, there will be an end of rebirth along with the suffering of old age and death. Realizing all these facts, the Bodhisattva meditated on the rising and passing away of the 5 uparana khandhas, groups of clinging, so that there may be no occasion for desire to arise. Uparana khandha means the psychophysical phenomena that become apparent every time one sees, hears, smells, tastes, touches, or thinks. In object of seeing, the eye in which rises seeing becomes apparent. The physical object which is seen becomes apparent, and the seeing consciousness also becomes apparent. Along with this consciousness, the feeling of pleasure or non-pleasure at the sight also becomes apparent. The perception sanya of what is seen, the encouragement hirana to see, and the attention manasikara to the sight seen. All these also become apparent. All these, the eye and the sight, constitute Rupa Khanda, the aggregate of material qualities. These material qualities are also taken as permanent, pleasing, and as a living atta, substantial entity, and are clung to. Because of this clinging, the eye and the sight are called in Pali as Uparana Khanda. because of a similar attachment. The I consciousness, etc., are also called Vijnana Uparane Khanda, Vedana Uparane Khanda, Sanya Uparane Khanda, and Sankhara Uparane Khanda. In brief, the I and the sight are Rupa, material qualities. The consciousness of sight is Nama, mental quality. There are only these two qualities, material and mental. These phenomena arise every time something is seen and at every act of seeing. They arise and pass away now and then. However, if they are not noted at the time of seeing, they will be clung to as a permanent entity. Thus, through this manner of attachment and karmic act to achieve pleasure, rebirth arises. On account of rebirth, the sufferings of old age and death are undergone. If noting is made at every moment of seeing, the arising and passing away of the five upadana khanas will be realized and attachment removed. Thus, karmic act and arising of a new bhava existence will cease, resulting in the cessation of the sufferings of old age, disease, and death. In the same way, if the phenomena that arise at the moment of hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking are not noted, and awareness of the same is not there, new bhavas will arise and the suffering of old age, disease, and death will have to be gone through. If, on the other hand, the psychophysical phenomena that arise are noted and perceived rightly, the coming into being of new bhavas will cease. So also the sufferings of old age, disease, and death. Thus, reflecting on the arising and ceasing of suffering, the Bodhisattva meditated on the arising and passing away of the uparane khanas. In such meditation, he was soon freed from the bondage of aswakilesa, the impurity of the outflows, and became the omniscient Supreme Buddha. So the Buddha preached thus, Tassa Panchasu Uparane Khandesu Uriya Bhayanubhasino Viharado Najira Seva Anuparaya Asvehi Chaitan Vimochi. This in brief is how the Buddha himself practiced so as to be free from sufferings of old age, disease, and death, etc., and realize the noblest dhammas of sila, morality, samadhi, concentration, panya, wisdom, and vimukti, deliverance. In this manner, did the Buddha himself realize the Dhamma, which is cessation of all sufferings, and preach it out of compassion to all beings, so that they might, like himself, come to know and experience the true Dhamma, which is cessation of sufferings. Initially, the Buddha preached this Dhamma to his 5 disciples, Kondinya, Vapa, Bhadiya, Mahanama, and Asaji. Those 5 disciples were the ones who had attended on the Bodhisattva while he was for 6 whole years practicing the austerities, going without solid food and living merely on a handful of boiled bean soup. They had done so hoping that the Bodhisattva, who had shrunken to a mere skeleton of bones and seconds, would soon, today or tomorrow, attain Buddhahood. But when the Bodhisattva resumed the taking of solid food again, in order to be able to practice Anapana meditation, they had lost faith in him, reflecting how he could attain the noble Dhamma when he could not attain it, even while he was practicing austerity by abstaining from solid food. They considered that the Bodhisattva had deviated from the true path that would enable him to realize the noble Dhamma. Looking down on the Bodhisattva, thus, they had left him and gone to and been living in the Meghalaya forest, Deer Park, near Benares, 18 yojanas, 140 miles away from Bodh Gaya. The Buddha went to Meghalaya where they were, and sitting at the place they had prepared, asked them to listen to his teaching. He said to them thus, I have found the noblest Dhamma, that is deathless, and if you practice in accordance with it, you will attain the noblest Dhamma that you seek for. Listen. Thereupon, the 5 disciples responded contemptuously thus, Friend Gautama, even while you were practicing the austerities by abstaining from solid food, you could not gain the wisdom that is exceptional. How can it be possible that you have gained it now, that you have given up this ascetic practice? The Buddha, out of compassion, repeated thrice his invitation to listen to his teaching. Thrice did they turn it down, whereupon the Buddha admonished and warned them thus, My 5 disciples, it is not that you have met me only now. You had been with me for full 6 years, attending on me, while I was practicing the difficult austerities. Did you then hear me saying that I had gained the exceptional Dhamma? Thereupon, the 5 disciples, believing that it must be so as the Buddha had said, since he had not said then that he had realized the exceptional Dhamma, prepared to listen to the teaching. The Buddha then preached the Dhammacakka Bodhana Sutta, beginning with these words: Dve me bhikkhave anta pavajidena nasevidava. To such preaching of the Buddha, respectful attention should be paid in accordance with the following statement. Buddha so bhagava bodhaya dhammande seti. The meaning is this: after realizing the true Dhamma himself, the Buddha preached it to Vinaya persons, so that they may, like himself, come to realize the true Dhamma. I shall now explain a few passages from the Dhammacakka Bodhana Sutta, the first preaching of the Buddha. From the age of 15 till the age of 29, the Bodhisattva Prince Siddhartha enjoyed the pleasures of the senses, surrounded by his consort Yasodhara Devi and other female companions. Though ordinary people consider these pleasures as delightful, they are neither free from the defiling suffering of greed and anger, nor from the arising of nayubhas existences, accompanied by old age, disease, and death. Thus, in the eyes of wise and foresighted people, there is no satisfaction whatever in the enjoyment of these sensual pleasures. Only that which confers permanent freedom from the samsaric sufferings of old age, disease, and death, and only that which makes for permanent happiness is the loftiest Dhamma. This is evidently true if one ponders properly. Renunciation of the worldly life is to gain such permanent happiness. But this lasting happiness would be complete only if there is freedom from the impurities of greed and anger. That is why the Buddha taught that the monk who had gone forth to free himself from these defilements should not indulge in the vulgar enjoyment of sensual pleasures. This is looked upon as an extreme practice. In conformity with this precept, the Buddha let it be known that he himself had forsaken these sensual pleasures from the age of 29. He also let it be known that his giving up the extreme austerities and taking gain such food as he should was not enjoyment of sensual pleasure, but strengthening of his body so that he could properly engage in anapana, meditation, etc. This fact also deserves respectful acclamation. sustaining himself daily on a mere handful of wild bean soup and practicing self-modification for 6 years without gaining any novel Dhamma. The Bodhisattva realized that it was a fruitless exercise that only brought suffering. He therefore let it be known that he had forsaken it as being not worthwhile. The true middle way was found only after the Bodhisattva had given up these two extremes of sensual pleasure and self-torture. What is this middle way? It consists of number 1, Samadhi, right view. Number 2, Samma Sankappa, right thinking or resolution. Number 3, Samma Vacha, right speech. Number 4, Samma Kammanta, right action. Number 5, Samma Ajiva, right living or livelihood. Number 6, Samma Vayama, right effort. Number 7, Samma Sati, right mindfulness. And number 8, Samma Samadhi, right concentration. All these 8 parts of the right path, Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta and Samma Ajiva, are Sila, morality, making us. If the 5 precepts are scrupulously observed, Sila Maganga is accomplished to a reasonable extent. But for full accomplishment, attainment of the Sadapati Magga is essential. That is why Sadapati Magga and Phala Attaina is described as Silesu Tripurakari. Person who is practicing with full accomplishment of morality, Samma Vayama, Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi, these 3 making us are Samadhi, concentration making us. These making us are reasonably accomplished on the attainment of a jhanic state. But the accomplishment of these making us are really complete only on the attainment of Anagami Magga. That is why the Anagami Magga and Phala Attaina is described as Samadhi Samay Tripurakari, person who is practicing with full accomplishment of concentration. Samadhi and Samma Sankappa. These 2 making us are Panya wisdom making us. While noting physical and mental phenomena which emerge on every act of hearing, seeing, etc. and on realizing they are arising and passing away, the Panya making us, along with the basic Sila and Samadhi making us, are developing. The Bodhisattva was liberated from the aswakilesas, the impure outflows by Radhamega and Pala, and became the Buddha through observing the rising and passing away of the Upadanakhanas, groups of clinging, and developing these 8 Magangas. The Buddha himself found the right middle way called Majjhima Patipata by avoiding the 2 extremes and developing the 8 Magangas and taught the practice of this middle way, which is conducive to the opening of the eye of wisdom and to the attainment of wisdom itself and so on. Here, the eye of wisdom means the act of knowing. This act of knowing is figuratively spoken of as the eye of wisdom, because it sees as if with the eye. What kind of knowledge does arise? With every act of seeing, hearing, touching, or knowing. Whatever is experienced is only psychophysical phenomena and cause and effect only. It is also personally experienced that there is no permanent atta or self-entity. It is clearly seen with one's own knowledge that there is only an ever-changing flux of non-substantial psychophysical phenomena. These are all matters of personal knowledge and not beliefs held out of deference to one's teachers or blind beliefs accepted out of reverence for the Buddha. That is why the Buddha's teaching is praised as Sandaitika, the Dhamma that can be personally experienced if practiced. These 8 Magangas are called the middle way or Majjhima Patipata, which enables extraordinary knowledge and insight knowledge that discerns matters that are difficult to know. It is to extinguish all kilesas, defilements, and to realize Nibbana. That is why the Buddha let it be known that everybody who develops in himself these 8 Magangas called the middle way will, like the Buddha, gain extraordinary knowledge and wisdom resulting in the extinction of all defilements and attain Nibbana. Accepting and bearing in mind this advice and listening to the very first Sammo, Dhammacakka Purana Sutta, preached by the Buddha. Venerable Kondinya was the first human to achieve Sotapannahood, while 180 million Brahmas attained Riya, Magga, Noble Path, and Phala. As for the Devas, innumerable numbers of them achieved this extraordinary Dhamma. I shall now briefly explain these 8 Maggangas called Majjhima Pratipada, or the middle way, so that my listeners may be able to practice and develop them. According to Indian practice, the yogi Palingam Avujjayatava must sit in cross-legged position. This is directed to enable the yogi to sit for long. According to the practice of some parts of the world, one may also sit on a chair and meditate. Ujjung Kayam Panidaya, the upper part of the body must be kept straight. One must not be bent or slack while seated, lest virya energy be weak or lacking. One should not sit leaning back either. Trimukhan Sattvayi Upadavitava. The mind should be directed towards the object of meditation, whether it is kasina, an external object meditation, asubha, impurity or loathsomeness meditation, or anapana, observing the in-breath and the out-breath meditation. The mind should be so directed, that is, towards the object of meditation. Vipassana meditation means observing every phenomenon occurring at the 6 sense doors. In the beginning, however, it would not be possible to observe each and every phenomenon occurring at the 6 sense doors. One should begin with observing the few phenomena that are of a pronounced character. That is why we advise the noting of the rising and falling of the abdomen. In the first instance, direct your attention to the abdomen. You need not observe with the eyes, which should therefore be kept closed. While the abdomen rises, note rising, and while it falls, note falling. This is not to be said verbally. It should only be noted mentally. The name that you utter is immaterial. What is needed is to be aware of the phenomenon as it occurs. That is why try and be continuously aware of both the beginning and the end of the rising as well as of the falling of the abdomen. This is observing the Vayodhatu element of motion as it manifests as tension and movement in the abdomen. While so noting, if a thought rises, it should be noted. This is called Caitanupassana, contemplation on consciousness. According to Satipatthana Desana teaching, after noting this thought, go back to the rising and falling of the abdomen. While noting thus, if pain or aching arises in the body, it should be noted paining. This is Vipassana, contemplation of feeling. Then back to noting the rising and falling. If one hears something, it should be noted, hearing. Then back to noting the rising and falling. This in brief is the method of meditation to be practiced for about 2 minutes. Well, let us meditate in this manner for 2 minutes. The 2 minutes are over. Within every minute, 50 or 60 acts of noting are possible. In each act of noting, the Dhammas comprising the 8 Maggas are taking place. This is how they take place. The effort to note is Samavayama, right effort. The act of mindfulness is Samasati, right mindfulness. To remain concentrated on the object of mindfulness is Samadhi, right concentration, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. These 3 are Samadhi Maggas. Rightly knowing the object noted is Samadhi, but when one begins to practice noting thus, this right knowledge is not so evident. Later on, the knowledge becomes evident that there are only mind and matter with every act of noting. Because of the desire to move, motion occurs. Because there is something to be seen, eye consciousness occurs. Thus, the yogi comes to distinguish between cause and effect. Something rises afresh and instantly passes away. This is also evidently noticed. Thus, observing that there is a constant flux of rising and passing away of phenomena, the yogi realizes that everything is impermanent. After the passing away of old rupas and namas, if new ones fail to arise, that is the moment to die. Thus, death can come about at any moment. How frighteningly miserable life is. It is also realized that everything happens of its own accord, subject to nobody's control, and therefore is anatta, non-self. All these acts of realization are right viewing. Inclining the mind to such viewing is Sama Sankappa. Samadhi and Sama Sankappa, these 2 are Panya, wisdom, Maggas. The three samadhi making us and the two panya making us are described in the commentaries as the five karma making us, which may be stated as the five workers. In worldly life, where a job can only be finished by five workers as a team, it needs to be done by them unitedly in harmony. In the same way, these five mangas are in harmony with every completed act of noting and knowing. Every time these five mangas gather strength through such harmony or concord, extraordinary VIPASSANA insight develops. Next, abstaining from unwholesome bodily acts of killing, stealing, illicit sexual conduct, Samma Kamanda. Abstaining from verbal acts of telling lies, backbiting, abusing, and frivolous talk, Samma Vaca. Abstaining from unlawful livelihood is Samma Ajiva. These Magangas constitute Sila Maganga. These Magangas are accomplished with the taking and observing of the precepts. So are they with every act of noting in meditation. So are the eight making us developed with every act of noting, with the attainment of Nirvana, getting nearer and nearer in the same way as in walking. Every step brings one nearer and nearer to one's destination. Just as with the last step you arrive at your destination, so also you attain Nirvana with the last act of noting. Therefore, beginning with noting the rising and falling of the abdomen, we are to constantly observe the arising of the psychophysical phenomena as much as we can. With such observation, may you develop extraordinary vipassana insights, rapidly attaining Ariya Megha knowledge of the noble path, Phala knowledge of the fruition of the path, and Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.